Hey everyone, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker. Recently launched the website. Really happy to see everyone's feedback about the videos. We've put out one video about the course and one video a bit about preflop, and this is what this video is actually going to be about. In my last preflop video, I showed a GTO range that's applicable for live games where there are big opens and deeper stacks and higher rake, and we saw that hands like pocket jacks can actually need to fold preflop if you're going to be opening big from UTG, which is insane. So a lot of the comments in the YouTube video have to do with, wait, this is GTO, but players in-game actually play different, and maybe we can open jacks. And what does this mean? Like, how do you take the optimal computer solution and apply it in a real game where people are just playing very, very different? So I'll read you guys through a few of the comments, and then I'll try to tackle the question. And towards the end of the video, we'll do something a bit different also with preflop live ranges. So here you guys can see Morgan Thompson saying, these solves assume the late position players are 3-betting squeezing enough. In lower stakes games where you don't get 3-bet as much, wouldn't it make sense to open all of the 0 EV spots that Monker has? Also, Matthew Beard says, giving your opponents a chance to make a mistake and then making it is a good poker outcome. So if you know players will call and overcall large opens with wide ranges, could that be a reason to make the bet? And Guy is actually saying the nature of live games is more social. Like, do you really expect the rest of the table to play like this? There are so many recreationals and lots of regs that are not too good. And why would you think these charts are right if people play very loose in a live game? So first off, I want to answer all of these questions and comments, which are very, very good questions and comments. These are definitely questions to be asking. I think a lot of my approach to studying poker is that we look at the GTO solutions not in order to mimic them. So we'll put that on the table first. Like, I'm looking at the GTO ranges. I have zero intention of playing these GTO ranges ever in my life. I'm using them as a study tool and as a tool to formulate my actual strategy for a real life game. So if we go back here to the GTO opening ranges that we looked at, we can ask a question of, this is a sim where UTG opens 8.5% of hands. And we can see, for example, if he opens 8.5%, now we're on the button, we need to fold ace queen off, fold jacks, and even look at the big blind. Big blind's folding ace queen offsuit, folding queen jack suited, like playing insanely tight. And people rightly say, but the guy at my table, he's not opening 8%, so what does this have to do with reality, and how can I actually use this? The answer to this is actually fairly simple, because the GTO sim has the range people should open by position, and it has the response against each range. And I think something, maybe reasonable is to think that in a 9-handed table, maybe the UTG player is opening more like the cutoff range here, like a 24% range, where he's opening all the broadways, all the suited aces, most of the pocket pairs, some of the suited connectors. Maybe it's a bit different with less offsuit aces and more suited connectors, but more or less this range. And if this is the case, we can actually use the GTO solution to see how to respond to a cutoff open. Now, because it's Monk Reviewer, we have to scroll, and we click on cutoff open. And now we see that the big blind's actually responding in a way that might seem a lot more reasonable to you guys, where UTG opens in a full ring table. You don't fold ace queen off, you don't fold king queen off, you can defend suited connectors, and jack 10 suited and hands like that can even 3-bet. And this is actually something that's a lot more suitable for the reality of the situation that a lot of the people playing live games are playing. So is this the GTO response to a proper UTG opening range? No, definitely not. But it's the GTO response to the practical range that your opponent might have. And having this chart is a very good baseline to, if I think the opponent is playing 16%, we have the 16%, we have a 13%, we have a 24% and a 47%. Some guys open everything. They don't care, they're just there to have fun. How do you respond to someone who's UTG and he's opening this many hands? from the blinds? Well, we can see that from this chart. And yeah, one of the things I like to look at, and this is one of the things that we sell at the site along with the chart, rather than scrolling through Monker, here you can see every opening range and every response in one chart. And here, for example, if we wanted to look at big blind versus button, this is like a printable chart as well. We could see big blind versus button, like versus the loose guy who's opening 47% of hands. If he opens UTG, no, go ahead, 3-bet him with king queen offsuit. This color indicates 3-bet fold. This color indicates cold call. You can call ace-8 offsuit. Definitely call pocket pairs, suited connectors, suited kings, like be really, really wide. And this can give you an indication of how to play versus various player types. And then at the end, when you're at the table, the art of playing live poker and playing online poker is recognizing who you're up against. If everyone you're up against is playing like a computer, probably best to find another game to play. If they're playing like human beings, these kind of charts and solutions, you don't need to memorize anything, you need to kind of ballpark them. Sit at the table, ballpark how your opponent is playing, and then you'll have a good solid response, because without this, you see some loose player opening under the gun 4x, and it's kind of tough to know which hand is good enough and which hand isn't. So I find that these solutions really help me to formulate my strategies in-game for real conditions. I wanted to add one other thing, and this is in response to the last comment by Guy, where the nature of live games is more social, like going out for a movie. And I feel that there's a tension when you're playing live, especially once you see how tight maybe you should be playing, where, you know, for many of the people playing poker, and I'm sure many of the people watching my videos, making money is not the only thing you care about when you're playing poker. At the end, it's a game and you want to have fun. Certainly you want to make money, and making money is fun, but if you had to fold all the time, it might get boring, and you might be like, okay, I'll just go to work, this isn't fun. So I'll add, there's also, you know, sometimes in live games, if you play too tight, you don't get invited next time. Like, no fun to play with someone who's too tight. So another thing you can use the Preflop Solutions for is actually stretching the edge and seeing, you know, how far can I take these ranges and how loose can I actually play if my opponents are not attacking my looseness in an active way. And this again ties into the comments of, you know, if people call too much with wide ranges, or if they don't 3-bet enough, can we open all of the 0EV spots that Monker has? Now, if you look at this 8.5% insanely tight UTG opening range, each hand here has an EV. And any hand that's mixed, you see 7-6 suited or pocket 7s, is 0 EV to fold or to open. And what happens is, were we to open all of these hands and our opponents adjust appropriately, these hands would become minus EV opens. So we can only open them a tiny bit, because once our open becomes 12%, we're suddenly getting 3-bet too much, and these are minus EV opens. But if you're in an environment where you think people will under 3-bet you, and generally make mistakes, allowing you to play wider, this 8.5% range, which might feel really limiting looking at it, we can actually widen it. And what I want to do now is to show you guys how far can we stretch this range, where we're thinking not only about making maximum profit, but we're even adding a bit on top of that. We'll play a few hands that generically pre-flop are going to lose a bit. We'll do it for image, for having fun, for getting invited again, and maybe because we think we have a bit of a pre-flop edge. So I want to construct this kind of range, and if I were going to a live game for the first time, I'd never be playing super tight. You know, you want to have fun, to get in there, to get reads, to make friends. So definitely, you know, if it's not cutthroat, nosebleed, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you want to be playing as loose as you can given reason. So let's take this UTG range. I will start out by throwing in all the 0 EV hands. So we can see that lets us play every pocket pair. Ace 3 suited, King 10 suited, suited connectors, up to around here, and Ace 10 off King Queen. Now this is already 16.5%. It's definitely wider than a lot of people would play UTG, but as long as your table's not 3-betting you aggressively. All the hands, bottom of range hands that are like 0 EV, they gain EV by people not 3-betting. They also gain EV, you know, if people cold call, that can be good or bad depending on where the threshold is. Like if they start calling you with ace queen off, that's not good for your suited aces. But if they start calling you with 9-7 suited, that's obviously good. So let's say on average in a loose live game, all this range will actually be happy, maybe minus some of the suited connectors, except for this to add a bit more. And to do this, I want to show you guys the EV differences. So now opening 7 deuce off UTG, this is like a 2-5 game. So opening this would lose you presumably $50. Which sounds like a small amount, but losing $50 per hand just on a pre-flop open is pretty bad. And again, that's assuming nobody notices what you're doing, which of course they would. So $50 is certainly too much, but look at King Jack offsuit. This is losing you like 2 cents, so certainly worth opening. King Jack off. Queen Jack off, a bit worse, quite a bit worse. You could ask why. Why is Queen Jack off so much worse than King Jack off? And the reason is just pre-flop removal effects. When you have a king, your opponents have less ace-king, less pocket kings. Those are really, really important things when you're opening a tight range. So we could throw in King-Jack and Queen-Jack suited, Queen-10 suited. Probably throw them in because, like we said, people are flatting kind of bad suited hands. And when you look at the rest of the suited kings, you can see they're not too bad. Could go down to King 5 suited, can throw an ace 2 suited. Suited gappers, stuff like 7-5 suited, 8-6 suited, 9-7 suited. These hands, they're losing you a bit, but they're not too bad. So again, if you wanted, we could throw these in. And I would say this is probably as far as I would feel comfortable pushing a UTG opening range, where this would depend on people not being very aggressive pre-flop. And I would be, you know, knowing that I'm opening some hands that in theory are losing a little bit, in practice probably losing a bit less or slightly winning, and just having more fun keeps you more focused, keeps you more motivated. So look at this, we took the 8.5% theory range, we made it like a really fun 22% range. And the only thing you need to make sure when you're doing this is, you know, if you opened UTG with 6-4 suited or King 5 suited and it went to showdown and someone's eyes went like wide open, maybe people will start 3-betting you a bit more. And you know when you're opening this range that you're opening yourself up to that. So definitely, you know, you can start out with this, but if people notice and start attacking you, want to go turtle mode, because these hands start losing very, very quickly when people start 3-betting you aggressively. So we have like the GTO solution. We're going to step out of our shell. And, you know, if things become bad, for some reason, someone has their eye on you, you know, you've been running good, playing too much, people start attacking you. We know to deviate to this and then actually cut out a lot of the low mixes, like no pocket pairs, no suited connectors, no ace-10, no ace-jack, and start being really, really nitty. If you guys want, you're welcome to check out the site and the ranges. If you like them, please leave a comment, would appreciate it. That sums up what I wanted to say in this video. So we talked about how to adjust to people not opening GTO, and also how to not open GTO ourselves in different types of environments, and came up with kind of a fun range to play that, you know, if you're giving someone a tip, a friend who's going to a live game and he's not a full-time poker player, you want him to have fun, I'll tell him, you know, you can play these hands, don't play much wider than that. And if you want to defend big blind, just defend like, you know, like we said, like defend this range. 3-bet this range from the button. These would be like the loose ranges that you probably want to have in practice. Like someone opens UTG, you can 3-bet this button range, more or less, if he's opening 24%. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel. Visit the website. Let me know what you guys think. I'm really curious. Anyone who's seen the sims, the charts, the Redline course, how you guys found everything. And I'll see you next time.